During stressful times, our prefrontal cortex, or the part of our brain that is used to make rational decisions, that is used for reasoning and problem solving, becomes overwhelmed. And we find ourselves automatically and reactively responding to input coming in, rather than doing it in a planned and strategic manner. What can we do? What is the one single thing we can put in place today to impact our focus immediately? To be bombarded by constant information is not new in our society. We've been online for years, and it's been a long time that those days of coming home after work to no stimuli or no input have been gone. Let's face it, that's not new. But nowadays, with the COVID crisis, it seems that the amount of information coming in is just exponential. Now, whether that's true or whether it's just that we are checking the news more often, spending more time on social media, connecting more with friends because we're in isolation, I don't know. But in any case, the extent of which information is pouring in seems to be, to me at least, seems to be quite high. And the thing is, like I said earlier, when our brains are overwhelmed or overloaded by information that leads us to feel stressed, or when we're feeling stressed already, our ability to make really conscious choices tends to be a bit impaired. You might have noticed this lately. You might have noticed you're feeling a bit more sluggish. You might be feeling a bit more worried about whether you're making the right decision or not. You might be lacking some of the creativity you're used to experiencing. This is all because of the stress that our brain is under and the processing that our brain is undertaking to help us deal with all the information and uncertainty that we're being exposed to. Now, the one single thing that we can all commit to today that's going to really help improve our focus is to learn to drown out the noise. This is something I've worked really hard to do in my life, but I found myself falling back into those patterns with COVID. I found myself on internet more often. I found myself on social media more often. I found myself signing up for webinars that were popping up, and all of a sudden my schedule was becoming full, and I yet again fell into those reactive patterns of responding to whatever was coming in instead of making the conscious decisions of where I wanted to spend my time. So I made the decision that I needed to put steps in place to drown out the noise. Now I have a few simple steps to share here. Number one, and I think you've heard this before, is really be conscious of how often you're exposing yourself to the news. Now, we obviously all want to know what's going on with COVID nowadays, but we don't need to have 5 daily updates. I try to limit myself to reading once a day, an update or two, so that I know the general situation, and I try to shut it down from there. And I try to avoid reading everyone's different opinions about their interpretation of the information coming in. Number two, be very consciously aware of when you're deciding to make decisions based out of fear or insecurity around what is going on. So I noticed myself jumping onto a lot of webinars about how to manage COVID. And the more I participated in some of those webinars, and I still tried to limit my choices, the more I realized that a lot of it is speculation, and although I think there is great information in a lot of these webinars, it was not only feeding difficult feelings around what was going on, it was also really eating up a lot of my time and pulling away my focus from the things I wanted to work on in my business. So tip number 3, which is related to that, to number 2, is schedule the time into your agenda first as to where you really want to be focusing in your business right now. So instead of responding to everything that's coming in, block the times in your agenda. Whatever you've decided your biggest priority will be, schedule it in and stick to that. And then if there are other opportunities coming in, people who want to meet, educational learning coming in, things like that, only participate in those if you have available time beyond the priorities you've set in your business. I promise you, if you start to learn to drown out the noise that's coming at us from all angles through this crisis, the biggest thing it's going to bring is focus. And the more you're really able to hone in and focus on the goals that you and your company want to achieve right now, the more you're going to end up at the end of this crisis having felt that your time was well spent.